Okay, it's 1:53 p.m., August 29th, 2020. And what you're looking at is a sea of gravel. How inviting does that look? The temperature right now is probably about well, it's actually kind of a cooler day. It's about 98. And yes, we just had all the fires. It's really horrible. It's kind of apocalyptic. I'm up here at the Winter's Ranch. We're gonna go from the neck up because I'm again rudely and crassly not wearing a shirt. So I apologize for my crassivity, but it's too damn hot to wear a shirt. Anyway, there's the fire zone over there, the big Vacaville fire. It came right up to the property edge. They had to do a back burn on this property right here in order to save my ranch and a whole bunch of other homes along the way. Berryessa is right over there. My favorite ridge hike. Looks like it got completely incinerated. The whole mountain's incinerated. I think like over 100 homes incinerated. So anyway, luckily I dodged another bullet up here. We've had for the past 7 years, we've had 6 mandatory evacuations due to wildfire, active wildfire. Mandatory. Means you have to leave no matter what. And of course the insurance has gone through the roof. But what the insurance company doesn't realize, they see that we're on the very edge of a fire zone, but what they don't realize is that we're at a really defendable spot. This is where the mountains die out into the Central Valley. And, it's really accessible. There's just a lot of grass to burn. It's not like those mountains over there are completely undefendable. So they burn in those mountains and they come up here and they always stop right here. So it's not as big of a deal as it seems. However, I will be doing more and more vegetation management. I've always been worried about these pine trees. These trees here are wonderful for shade and wind protection. However, they're pine trees. Pine trees love to burn. Now, luckily, we have a big sea of gravel between them, but still. And I've cut off some of the lower limbs. You can see I've limbed them up to get them above where the fire would be. I need to do that some more. But I think ultimately I'm going to get rid of these trees. And the one tree I really want to keep, I have to get rid of too eventually. It's this cork oak tree over here. And I'll tell you why I have to get rid of it. I'm probably going to plant some more of these along here. These are really cool trees from the Mediterranean. The reason I'm going to get rid of it is because I'm going to get rid of the sea of asphalt. And I'm going to create a beautiful brick circular driveway. I'm a collector of bricks that are destined for landfills. I've been doing that since I was 18. I have 19,000 bricks, which is approximately 4.5 bricks per square foot. Divide 19,000 by 4.5. That means we probably have about 4,000 square feet of pathways and driveway at our house that I created. Okay, every time you see somebody trying to throw away a brick, I want you to remember this pathway. Check this out. Here's my crazy rainforest garden. A little out of hand. It's pretty much naturalized. I haven't done anything. Just created like a rainforest situation and let it go. But anyway, here's my bridge built across the creek. And here are my 19,000 bricks. I'm going to show you every one of them. 19,000 bricks. When I watched The Wizard of Oz, I was just completely in awe that there would be these brick paths that just wandered everywhere. And you could just follow them forever. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I decided to make my own. I didn't have yellow bricks enough to do the whole thing, but I did rim the edge of this entire composition. And this is simply bed of concrete, 4 inches, and then these bricks are wet set, roughly wet set. Just drop them, boom, 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 on top of the concrete. We have wire meshing inside of it. We should have had rebar. If we had rebar, this probably would have held together a little better. You see these joints are cracking apart, but it's not a big deal because it just makes it look that much more rustic. It's been here for about 15 years, 18 years. This path took several years to complete this. Here's another rupture point. Maybe that's the San Andreas fault right there, I don't know. But anyway, it leads over to my nursery area. Before I had Richmond, this is all I had. And this is all I thought I'd ever have, so I made it really nice. Greenhouse over here, it's kind of a mess right now. But path gets wider here, so I can back my truck up it here. Little side path going into the greenhouse. And ultimately to my loading and turnaround area. That's concrete over there, so we could scoop dirt off of it. And it all ends out here at the basically the hang glider port where all of my avocado trees are. So there you go. That's what you can do with other people's garbage. Here's my stash. I always have a stash of materials. Those are all the bricks. If you have bricks you want to get rid of, call Gary. He'll come get them. But they come up here and they sit there for years and years and years until finally I have time and opportunity to do more projects. This is really going to be a back burner though, because there are many more things to do that are more important. But why are we here today talking about that? Not so much talking about wildfire. This just happens to be what's going on at the moment. It was the second largest fire in California history, the one I just showed you. How are we going to get rid of this sea of asphalt? Well, we are going to have a circular driveway. Circular driveway is such a cool thing. I want to tell you a few things about circular driveways. They really need to be at a minimum 48 feet across. And ideally, they'll have something cool in the middle. The coolest thing you could have in the middle, I think, is not a fountain, but a nice tree. So I'm going to put in coolest tree ever. I'll tell you about that. But here, you see I have to come through here with my trucks, my bigger trucks and tractors and stuff. And I also want as much parking as possible. So I'm going to make this circular really big. I have room. I could have made it slightly less than 48, 46, and then kept that oak tree over there. But I'm realizing now if I get rid of that oak tree, I can make the circular huge. I can always grow another oak tree. I will be able to keep that little oak across the way over there. And as I thought about it, the reason why this oak is going to not be so critical to get rid of is because of the tree I'm putting here in the middle. And I'm not going to build this circular for a while. All I'm going to do now is plant the tree to get rid of this sea of gravel. So I'm going to build my circular. Here's the loop right here. I'm going to build my circular about, what did I figure? About 58 feet diameter instead of 48. I'll add 5 feet on the other side. That means I'll be able to make a really nice planter in the middle, a really big one. So you can see there's my marker. That's the beginning of the circular. I'll show you how I laid it out. It's really important. I could have potentially moved it over this way, gotten it far enough away from that oak whereby I could save that oak. I really like the oak. I feel terribly guilty. But look, this is my dilemma. There. That's my dilemma. Do I put the circular, the center, the tree center point, the focal vortex of the property over there so it's off center with the house? I think not. The only thing preventing me from putting it here is that oak tree. So that's where I'm going to put it. And if I put it here, then I will be, notwithstanding the oak, but in consideration of this beautiful toyon and all of this landscape material over here, which is not so pretty now, but it will be when I redo it, and this thing here, and this tree, if I disregard where that oak is, I can put the center of the circular here and have the largest circular that I could get, which is approximately, what did I say, 58 feet. So here we go. I'll show you how this works. Put your stake where you want your circular, center your circular. Circular is great. You can use it as a 3-point turn. You can go all the way around. Even that big white truck can make a circle in a 58 diameter circle. And anything smaller than that can certainly make it without having to back up and do 3-point. But let's take this thing and show you where it goes. Stake your middle, start walking around. This is how you find your sweet spot where you want your circular. And as you can see, we come over here. Isn't this mulch pretty? This is my idea. Isn't that pretty? That's just a bunch of pine cones. Okay. Ow. But they do have points on them, and I have flip-flops. But you can see here, we're going to consume this oak. But the good news, the good news is we won't bother this toyon. By the time I do it, this toyon might be, look at that. See, it's perfect. This toyon might be gone, because who knows, this might take me another 10 years to get to. Until then, I'll be collecting more brick. You go around this way. We'll leave a little gravel parking stall there. We'll probably leave gravel coming down here, or maybe someday I'll brick that. I don't think I can do that right away. I'll be lucky if I get to this. Anyway, it comes around here, see? It's in the sweet spot. Just have to trim this back a little bit. I'll have a little walkway, little brick walkway there. And the circular will meet up perfectly with this walkway that I built. That took a long time to get that done. Anyway, there's the circular. Let's go talk about the tree I'm going to use. What's the best possible tree to use? So right now, I'm gonna throw in a quick little video of my circular at home, 48 feet. So when you come up to my ranch, this is eventually going to be a VRBO someday. I keep promising that. But if you come here, you're gonna love all this parking. And we will snip in a quick little video of my Lafayette circular, which I love so much. It works really well. It's only 48 feet. This one's gonna be 58, huge. Well, you're wondering about what a really cool circular driveway can look like. There's one right there. This one's 20 years old. This is 48 feet across from curb to curb. This is what I would consider the minimum size. You can make them smaller, but what's great about this size here, we have 16 and a half feet of distance from curb to curb. And we have 17 and a half feet wide circle in the middle. What that allows you to do, once you have 16 feet, which is what the driveway is, 16 feet wide, one, it allows a fire truck to get down here real easily, which could be important. And it also allows double, you could have a row of parking and then another open lane to get by. So there you go. That's a good example right there. You can like maneuver around here. If there were no cars in the circular, you literally could just drive through it. Boom, boom. No backing up, no 3-point turn. However, if there are cars in the driveway, then you got to do a little backing back and forth. But this shows you the spaciousness. This design barely fit. I designed this 20 years ago. Well, no, 22 years ago, and installed it 20 years ago. And the hill drops off precipitously on this side. Then we have what amounts to our backyard and our front yard over there. A beggar cannot be a chooser when you're on a hillside because you have to get your flat land from wherever you can get it. Now, in this case, we have a little parking stall off to the edge, which is really nice, super convenient. That's a great mom slot. And kids, groceries, everything, soccer equipment. And then, of course, we got the garage. But anyway, up at Winters, we are going to create a even larger circle. Instead of 48, we're doing about 56, 58. And then the center planter is going to be, right now it's going to be smaller than this, but ultimately when I actually build the driveway, which might be years from now, it's going to be 2 feet larger in diameter. So that should really show off and contain the buttress root system of the Ficus macrophylla that we're going to plant there. Here we use the beautiful Tipuana tree, which shows up in several videos on my channel. When I first came here to buy this property, the dude, Richard Larkey, hey Richard, it was June I came out here, and these are navel oranges. They ripen up in winter. And he's like, these are the best oranges in the world. And I looked at these trees, I'm like, those are the ugliest trees I've ever seen. I didn't say that, but that's what I thought. And I said to him, well, I have oranges at my house in Lafayette, and people say those are the best they've ever had. And he said, well, you're gonna have to try these in January when they're ripe. So January rolled around. I had already bought the property. I had owned it for 6 months. And I came out and I tried these oranges, and they were amazing. These oranges are stress grown because it's so hot here, so windy, so tough. It gets pretty cold, but not too cold. It creates this just really harsh climate, and it stresses the oranges out. And if you know anything about grapes, they can stress grow grapes. Grapes aren't as big, but they have the most complex flavors of any grapes anywhere. So trees never look really good here, or as good as they do down in the Bay Area. But check this out. Look at this. This is a beautiful Ficus macrophylla here, and it looks just phenomenal all the time. And it just, look, full sun, no problem. So this is the one I'm going to plant in the center, and it's rooting in just a little bit. You would think to look that good, it would have to be really rooted in. It's not really rooted in at all. It's totally loose. But tomorrow, after I jackhammer out this certainly hard dirt, I will put that tree in. It's gonna look fabulous. And the thing that prompted all this was that we had a bunch of big pine trees out here, and PG&E came along, cut them all down. Look at this. Here's a huge one here. There's one over there. There was even another one over here. After the big PG&E fires, they're getting, see this one there, right there? After the big PG&E fires, they're getting really conservative for a good reason. We have these big giant towers that send all of the electrical energy from the Lake Berryessa Dam down to where it's most needed. Another tree here, gone. A bunch of vegetation here, gone. I had a bunch of cool toyon, gone. Everything's gone. Trees are just all gone. The toyon's coming back a little bit. And there was a big tree there that's gone, and a big pine tree here. So basically, and another huge carob tree that was here, gone. So now, instead of seeing a little forest, when you drive up, now we see the pole and nothing else. So I figure that fig tree will get so big, it'll cover the whole entire circular and then some. And so that's the primary focus of why we're doing this now. And I am going to insert right here my favorite ficus in the whole entire world. It's the largest spreading tree in all of North America. It was planted by a little girl in 1868, I believe, who was given the tree by a sailor from Australia, from which the tree is native. And he said to plant the tree and watered it, and you'll have a big, beautiful tree. The tree is still there. And it's just amazing. It takes up a whole city block. Anyway, so I'm going to plant one here. So maybe in 160 years from now, people will be able to, they'll know the story because they'll see it. I might be gone, but my video will still be kicking. And these beautiful boulders will form our temporary curbing around our centerpiece jewel of our Ficus macrophylla and our agaves. If you ever wonder what Gary Gregg does on his day off? Now you know. So you want to hang out with me? If you can do that, I'm going to put you to work. Anyway, here we go, and that's all hand loaded. I got the biggest ones out of the pile. This is really interesting on this property here. This used to be a beach right here. That's the Great Central Valley down there, and we're at 200-foot elevation. So when sea levels were much higher, about 80,000 years ago, I think that's when it happened. I'd have to look and make sure. I know it wasn't 10,000 because that's when everything thawed out. I think there was an ice age for like 70,000 years. Yeah, when it was tropical, all the ice caps were melted, and that was a big inland sea, and the whole valley was a sea. In fact, the biggest shark ever, called, I believe, Megalodon, he was found in Bakersfield, which is basically like the same kind of situation we have here, where Bakersfield starts to climb out of the valley floor. And but anyway, I used to think that all of these rocks are really interesting because most of them are rounded, like they've been tumbled. And I dig them up. Anytime I dig a hole here, I find rock everywhere. And as you can see, I've dug a lot of holes. This is all my rock. Actually, this pile got so big that I actually had to make another pile way over there. So if you're wondering, if you're working up here at my house and we run out of rocks here and I tell you to get some rocks, just know that we have a backup pile right over there. So, anyway, yeah, so we're gonna rim the thing with these guys here, the big ones. I kept the really, really big ones and the really, really beautiful ones with lots of color to use in the landscape. And then I might use make some dry stream beds with this material, and I'll still have a bunch left over. But anyway, it's good to have rock. So we're gonna rim it with this thing, and then we're going to fill it with my custom mixed soil pile. That's 1/3 compost from the dump. Whenever I go to the dump, I come back with compost. And then tree chips that a guy dumps here, and a little bit of the native dirt. And it does wonders for my palm trees, as you can see. They love it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm determined to get this job done by tomorrow and have my little tree standing out there with my agaves and my beautiful little curb as a temporary fixture until someday I'll build that beautiful brick circular out of all of these bricks that I've been hoarding and collecting. Anyway, so if you need a place to dump brick, I know a guy. Just to prove that I scavenge all of my bricks, I figure this would be a good moment to illustrate such point. Look what I ran into. A leaning tower of brick with Gary's name on it. And even better than that, look what it's got on. Look at this. Richmond, which used to be an old foundry. Guess where? In Richmond by the nursery. So these are kind of historic. Hey! I'm going to give your bricks a second life.
We were driving home from somewhere. I can't remember where it was. Well, probably driving home from Bodega Bay. And we were trying to figure out, why did all the people out there, everybody had a palm tree? Was there like a stage that our culture went through where then it was like status? Because I noticed you have palms. Is that what you sell?
Yeah, palm trees. I'm the biggest palm tree guru in Northern California.
Like a status thing where like you go out on the 505 and you look on both sides.
It's kind of like a psychological disorder more than a status thing. People who like palm trees are fanatical about it. I'm super fanatical.
I love it.
And so, but yeah, so that's Lorraine right there. And if you need your interior done in your classic car, what's your name? Rick, right on.
You have to talk loud.
I made
iced tea or water?
Oh gosh, that iced tea looks really, really good. Look at this. You get free brick and you get beverages as well. I'm out here in Fairfield, beautiful Fairfield. Found these bricks over here.
This is the Mi Casa es Su Casa place.
Yeah, look at this. You never know who you're going to meet.
We don't really have sugar. I have stevia and I have some sugar.
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, I like it light like that. That's really good. But look at it. They sell oranges in the wintertime, $5 a bag. But I'm the lucky person that's going to get to use these bricks. I made a little video about this circular I'm making, so I figured why not add in
so Rick is,
where I'm going to get the bricks from, right?
He's not a sign maker. He made a sign.
I see that.
Free brick, and then the sun just burned off the words.
Right. I was like...
That was for you.
Yeah, free brick. But thankfully, it doesn't say free brick anymore. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have got them. All right, you guys, thanks so much. I'm going to load these things up.
Okay,
this is fantastic. I like how you made it like a trap. You know, if you load it from the wrong side, it'll just collapse and kill the person.
No,
you know.
That was Gavino, his friend. We would never have known that, but Gavino is from Mexico, and he knows.
Yeah, I'm gonna load from this side. Right on. Hey, thanks so much. All right. Well, as you can see, that blazing piece of fire in the middle of our universe is now, at least from this angle, the planet setting down and allowing a much nicer temperature to work in. So, here we are, laying out a circular driveway. What you may not know is I was a landscape contractor for a lot of years. Some of you might know because some of you might have had your gardens built by me. Okay, one tip. If you're going to lay out something that needs to be painted on the ground or on the gravel, it's best to wet the area down that you'll be painting. Otherwise, every time you paint, the dust on the surface will just blow the paint away and you just won't get anywhere. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to paint the perimeter of the planter. Planter should be as big as possible, but still allowing a proper proportion for vehicle traffic around it. And the planter that I showed you at home, of course, is about 17 feet, and the drivable space between the curbs is 16'4". So I have the luxury this time of increasing both of those. So things to think about with this particular planter here is this Ficus macrophylla gets massive buttress root system over time. And so I'm going to make the planter as big as possible. So I'm going to make this planter 2 feet wider than the one at home. It's going to be all the way out to from the center point 9'6" here. So that means it's going to be 19 feet wide if you double that. And I'll show you how you can paint that real nicely. Pick up your paint and then get your string. And this is going to be hard to do with the camera, but I'll do it anyway. Whoa! I just spray painted my phone. Whoopsie. There. It's going to be safety orange, my phone now. All right, here we go again. See the loop? Look at my thumb right there. Got my trigger finger right there. And as you can see, it measures right to where I need it. Here we go. This will make a perfect circle. Of course, I waited so long that now the gravel is kind of dry, but it should still work. And we'll see what that looks like. We'll try to imagine 50 years from now when those buttress roots are going crazy. And there we go, like that. There's our circle. That looks pretty nice. Except I will have to go around this with the truck, which is going to be tricky because I have to drive this direction. That oak tree's hanging kind of low. And if I go this way around this thing with the big truck, that's going to be tricky. Things to think about. Maybe for now, my solution is that I don't make my rock curb I'm going to make a temporary rock curb around this thing. You see it's the centerpiece looking down toward the house there. Instead of making this perimeter this big right now, I think I'll just make a rock perimeter. I mean, this tree is little, so it doesn't need much right now. I'll make my rock perimeter maybe like half this and leave enough room to drive a truck through here. So I'll probably leave it, say, about here. Right there for now. I'm going to make a nice little rock planter around it. Someday, though, that tree will be gone. It won't be an issue. The driveway will be all the way out there, going around. Big, giant circular with 18-foot travel space, which is 2 feet wider than ours at home. There'll be lots of room for the buttress roots of the Ficus macrophylla. Beautiful centerpiece. And yeah, and then I can reinforce really well. This is where the curb will be eventually. Reinforce that really well with lots of rebar. Dig a big trench, the backhoe, get down there deep, pour it solid, full of concrete, 3 layers of rebar. and then that will resist whatever the ficus throws at it, at least for my lifetime. That's pretty much the only one I'm mostly concerned. I always say everything I build for 1,000 years. Stuff I used to build. I don't build anymore, except for myself. But this should last at least 100 years. So that's probably good enough, I think. Anyway, that's the story right now. And I'm going to clear all that gravel out of there and kind of jackhammer out, loosen the soil for that ficus to dig into. And I think I'm going to use a really cool dark green agave right over here that I don't even know the name of. This one, it's so green, it's super drought tolerant, it's lush, there's no thorns on it. I think I'm going to use that as the ground cover around the ficus because it's so dark green, and we just need green up here. Look, there's just lots and lots of golden. Golden's beautiful, but it's very dry and stark. In fact, it's so dry here that the blue oaks this time of year, late in the season, in the summer season, they actually go partially deciduous, which is a trip. It's like trees in Africa do this on the dry savannas, or anywhere they're drought stressed. There's trees that do this, but this tree literally will go semi-deciduous, lose a lot of its leaves toward the end of the summer, and summer deciduous, and then once the rains come and they get some moisture, like if we get some early rains, they'll actually leaf out again in fall more than now. Then they'll drop their leaves again for good in winter. So it's an interesting adaptation. But that's how dry it is here. So the trees have to drop their leaves. So we need to counterpunch that dryness and have some lush green. And this is what you'll see when you drive up to this place if you ever come here. Yeah, this driveway was put in 1976. And it's been compacted ever since. So it's really compact. This is what the tractor did, which was pretty much nothing. So we're going to jackhammer this area out so these roots can penetrate. I'm going to just jackhammer out the inner square, which is the temporary ring, which I will edge with these rocks to create this beautiful island in the middle of this sea of gravel. And so this guy can plug into any regular outlet, although you do need a special adapter, which I had to run down to Ace Hardware to get. And it's as easy as over and over and over again for this whole area, and then I'll scrape it out with the tractor. Hopefully get out of here at some reasonable hour today. So, and I forgot to tell you, how else are we going to get rid of this pull? Well, I figure that, look at my avocado. That's a dwarf little avocado right there. So I am going to mimic that planting. The one on the left is too, it's just a little behind. I'm going to ring this whole edge with a mound, kind of like that mound over there, because avocados love mounds. And then I'm going to plant avocados. I'm not sure what kind yet. Maybe Gem. That's the new Central Valley growing avocado. And it's supposed to be really good, heat tolerant and all that. And then I'm going to basically create what amounts to a nursery with nursery fabric underneath these power poles. And the deal is that PG&E can come by and cut these trees down at any moment. But that's okay with avocados because you can stump them. Watch my videos, and that actually height controls them. So they'll do my work for me if they come and do that, as long as they leave a foot of a stump, which I'll make sure they do. And they say if it's a managed crop, then they tend to not be as destructive about it. And I'm sure if I have dwarf avocado trees that are only like 15 feet tall, they're not going to worry too much. It's when you have these giant pine trees, that's when they don't like that. These pine trees were here for, 1976, 2020, 20 plus 25, 45 years. and they just now cut them down. And they really haven't changed in size. But anyway, get all that gravel out of there, get down to the dirt, add some new dirt, plant the plants, and rim the rock, and get out of here. Okay, sorry for the lack of a time-lapse video. Give me a film crew like I used to have, and we'll do that. Until then, this is all you get. Anyway, I got down to dirt. See, that's dirt, probably about 6-8 inches down. So quite a bit of gravel came out of here. Might be maybe 10 inches down, it looks like. But it's not a perfect circle, but it's big enough to do what we need to do. Basically, what we want to do is we want these big roots from our ficus tree. It has the craziest, biggest roots in the world. We want it to dig down into the dirt. Look at, there they go. Those are the future buttress roots right there. They're going to be huge and crazy. But if you have an impervious layer, think about it. Impervious layer of what amounts to just about concrete, the way when this base rock is compacted as it was to the nth degree. Anyway, those roots would hit that layer. Even if I made a big mound, they'd hit that layer and they'd go laterally. They'd go laterally right underneath my future driveway. So that would be a problem. I want them to go deep. So I want them to find that dirt and be encouraged to go down underneath the driveway. Deeper, so they don't just immediately jack it up. They're probably going to jack it up anyway. I'm going to be really old by the time that happens. It's not going to be my problem anymore. And it'll be an amazing tree. So anyway, now the next step is to put a whole boatload of dirt in here. I'm actually not going to use a boat. I'm going to use that tractor right there. And yeah, you know, it's funny. It's like, you guys ever see that movie, Edward Scissorhands? You know, the one Johnny Depp was in? He was this crazy, deranged, kind of half human, half animal. Why does that sound familiar? And his hands were clippers, and he just sat in his garden all day in this mountain and clip, 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 clip. And he was just so happy all by himself. And he never saw anybody. And he just liked to be up there. And I can't remember the whole story of the movie. I think people basically were curious and they wanted to go up there and find out what he was doing. Well, that's what I've been doing during COVID. I've been Edward Scissorhands with exotic planting hands and just trying to get all my personal projects done. Well, whenever I'm not working, which is not too often. But yeah, any moment I have that I'm not having to drive palms around or, you know, go get them, deliver them, plant avocados for trees for people, I'm working on my own stuff all by myself. And I am as happy as Edward Scissorhands was. I wish I could just do this all the time. It's so much fun. But eventually I will show it to everybody. Eventually have people up here. I'll re-enter the human race and be social once again. Until then, this is my socialness right now. Okay, you guys don't need to see every single step. So I skipped a few. All right, here's the dirt. I raked it out, as you can see. Personally, I really like voluptuous curvation. Voluptuous curvation in the landscape. I also like things straight occasionally, but I'll give you examples of my voluptuous curvation in the landscape. That's what you call voluptuous curvation. See that beautiful form? Whoosh. That's voluptuous. And that's voluptuous over there. So my mound is slightly voluptuous because it has that beautiful curve. Anyway, it's upraised. It's probably going to settle a little bit. I'm thinking when I finally do this driveway, the whole thing is kind of like this. I'll probably excavate down, and the brick where it meets this planter will be slightly lower than the grade now. So then the mound will be more pronounced at that point, and that will be a good thing. I'm not sure exactly how much. I have to get all the laser levels out here and shoot the whole thing, but you see how the road is cupped? See how it goes up and then like that. It's hard to see. Anyway, I'll fix all that when I do the brick, and you know, maybe 10 years from now, but you know what? 10 years from now, I'll need something to do. I'll be bored, so this would be perfect. And think how much brick I'll have by then. But the next step is to put all this rock in all around here, create the border, maybe add a little more soil. As you can see, I just shot the circle again. The orange is going to be the outer edge of the freeform rock curb. You can see when I dug with the tractor, I didn't dig it quite close enough over here. And then it appears that this side is more perfect. So, it's hard to be perfect. In fact, there's no such thing as perfection. But striving after it is a noble thing. Well, what do you think? I think it's really good. I slur a lot. Let me try that again. I think it looks really good. When I had my TV show, they would make me do a second take, and they'd say, okay, Gary's talking Swahili again. So I'll try not to talk Swahili. There's my beautiful ringed boulder planter centerpiece. It's going to be awesome. Finally have some relief from all this gravel and that hideous view. That thing used to be hidden away. Oh well. It will be soon again. Anyway, time to get some more dirt, plant some plants. There it is. Let's see. I think it's like 1 o'clock. I started at 9:30, so it's more than 3 hours. But you know what? Everything worthwhile takes more time than you think generally. There's my curvaceous curve. You like it? Voluptuousness in the landscape. You gotta love it. Anyway, there it is. So now it's time, obviously, for some greenery. Remember, my biggest complaint out here was this desert of rock. What do I want? I want green. When do I want it? I want it now. So, as I told you, here's my ficus. It is the darkest green thing you can ever imagine. It seems to be extremely tough and doesn't seem to have any issues about growing here. So, I'm going to go with that one for the tree. And then underneath it, I want some green. Now, you're going to ask me, what kind of agave is this, Gary? And you know what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to say, I really don't know, if I want to be honest. Anyway, I'm sure I could Google it and find it or whatever, or I could call my buddy Brian Kimball. Hi, Brian, at Ruth Bancroft Garden. He'd tell me. But I'm going to ask you guys, what kind of agave is that? What's cool is there's just the tiniest little thorns right here. So there's no big deal at all. They're not thorny on the ends. They're super dark green. They stand up tall. They sucker, as you can see right here. So that means they're going to spread around in the planter, and they're going to provide that dark green that I really want. Most agaves are kind of a grayish, silverish, which is wonderful if you want to contrast green. But if you already have a lot of gray, you know what I'm saying? You need some green. Anyway, the next thing you're going to see is all these plants planted, everything cleaned up, looking pretty, and me shaved and looking dignified once again for a very brief moment, because most of the time I just look like this. Sorry. Well, I have good news and I have bad news. Bad news first, right? Well, couldn't find a razor. But I've got a clean shirt. I've got a shirt. That's like better than most times, right? Anyway, so you'll have to live with gray and dignified for one more clip. But I promise to minimize the facial shots for your viewing enjoyment. So look at what we have here. We have our beautiful planter. And what do you think? You think that if you stand in exactly the right spot, exactly the right spot, it blocks the power pole. But you have to sit right here in this rock and look up. Anyway, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It'll be so big that you won't even notice that power pole someday. But what do you think? Does it look any better? Have this, it's pretty much like, it's not centered looking down the driveway, but you can imagine a circular around this. It's going to be really nice. And it is directly lined up with the front door. As we mentioned, this circular is going to be quite a bit bigger than the one in Lafayette, which will be really nice, be easier to park, easier to get around cars. And you can see what a beautiful thing to be greeted by when you first show up. There's the front door over there, and here's the tree. And that's pretty much the end of the story today. So just know that, when you, someday, when you come out to my VRBO and see my exotic paradise, the best place to see exotic plants and beautiful horses anywhere in Northern California. You could feed him an orange a day. We have orange trees right here. He's not supposed to eat more than that. It's my neighbor's horse. Anyway, come out here. First thing you'll see is this beautiful tree, and then you'll know you're there. Actually, it's going to be the second thing. The first thing you'll see are all those palm trees lining the driveway down there, which is quite fantastic. And then the second thing you'll see is this tree right here. And you'll think, oh yeah, I remember when you put that in. I can't believe how much bigger it is. Ha! Next stop. Quiero Taco Bell.